Hello there, and welcome. This is the sixth episode of Reddit War Room, and today we've got a masterclass in Wehrmacht analysis because we've got Tommy. Hello.
Hello, man. How's it going?
It's going absolutely fine and dandy. We've got an interesting game for you, Tommy. Schmetterling, who's a prodigious commenter on people's live streams on Twitch. Schmetterling, he's a level 13 Wehrmacht apparently, and he wants to be better.
Okay, well, I hope that I can impart some advice to help out this chap's Wehrmacht play on Semwa as well. Tournament positions, good to see. It's always a good way to if you can master Semwa, then you're generally okay with the other maps because this one is the ultimate test.
Oh wow. Is it because it's got so many, diverse areas on the map, the centre, the right, the
It's
left?
just the most balanced, really, and the other maps tend to favor Wehr a bit more. This one, out of the big three, Angoville, Langres, and Semwa, this one is the one that tends to favor the US most, in my experience.
Definitely
So
with
if you can do well
infantry.
here, then yeah.
Infantry and arty spam's never nice to see on Semwa for a Wehrmacht player, is it?
Yeah, it can be tough. Howitzers, very common here. So yeah, it's no, it's tough. Lots of shot blockers as well. So you got to be very careful with how you use your MGs.
Wow. The guy we've got in the American in the West, he's level 14. I think Schmetterling's a 13 in this game. And are we on 5 seconds, Tommy?
We are indeed.
3, 2, 1, play. 6, 7, 8. I'm sure you're in sync.
So we have a Wehrmacht quarters going up first for Schmetterling with another Pioneer following it up. So good to see that we're off to a good start with nothing crazy like
Yeah,
10
nothing
Pioneers
crazy.
to tier 2.
Nothing crazy at all. So it's going to be, people trying to do proper Company of Heroes play, basically. Trying to, take an example from the top players and do all the things they've seen before.
Yeah, and I've actually heard of his opponent as well. Schmetterling does ring a vague bell. Nixa as well. I'm sure I've played him in auto match a couple of times.
And
So
beaten him a couple of times, no doubt.
yes, I believe so. But not a bad player. I think yeah, level 14, level 15 sounds about right. So I think these two players should be pretty evenly matched. It's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, definitely. Also, it's going to be fun to see how you react to some of the play you're going to see because you're used to casting the highest play in Company of Heroes, aren't you? With isn't it a Norwegian guy, Death Priest of Death or something?
Fatal Saints.
Yeah,
Yes.
sorry, Fatal Saint. Yeah, I don't know. You're the main guy from that cast series anyway, so. But you do a
He's gonna
YouTube
be
series
angry
that.
to hear you say that. Uh, yeah, no, it's true. We do often we focus on casting the sort of the top 5% of players. That's pretty much all our games. So I don't cast a whole lot of sort of lower level gameplay, but I think it's good to expand your palette now and again.
You're putting it so nicely. That's what we like to hear. Hopefully, well, exactly. This cast is not going to be about. We're not going to be showing the greatest play. We're going to be showing the not so greatest play and trying to give a few tips to help them, get to that next level. You've always talked about how you got to the next level. You used was it an Aim Strong replay pack, and you watched every single one.
The, what happened was a couple of years ago, I used to just play my normal games. I was about level 12 US and about level 8 there. Didn't really understand the mechanics of the game all too well, but I'd read a bunch of guides on game replays, so I had a general idea of, let's get 4 rifles and let's do lots of, Volks and MGs and things, but didn't really understand the mechanics of play. But it was actually Magpie's replay pack, which you can find on game replays, still there.
Right, wrong guy, but yeah.
Came out at the start of this patch 2.602, and it was the most helpful early replay pack for me to see, and I learned just an unquestionable amount from it there, and it's what took me up to level 16 over a period of a couple of months, and from then I ran practicing a lot, and then I was pretty much on a rough sort of plateau, and then I really broke through sort of about 8-9 months ago when Aimstrong started mentoring me.
Oh wow, that's a good story. I like it. What do you think about the fuel denial from the American? Do you think that anything Schmetterling could have done to prevent that?
Well, he sat inside that building, that shack there with the Pioneer. Never a good idea to go into the shacks because they're very weak buildings, unlike the regular sort of strong wooden or or concrete buildings, they act almost like negative cover,
Oh,
so
wow.
you don't really want to hide in there. He did put some wire down there. Wire is fine. I don't do it myself because I find it's a bit of a waste of time because most people are going to just go up there and cut the wire anyway. But what he should probably be doing is sending both Volks back to the north and just trying to retake that fuel as soon as possible. 2 Volks up here would be able to push out this force without too many problems.
Yeah, he's committed his MG to the centre as well. Would you have recommended he actually use the MG to protect his fuel?
The MG in this instance, if I'm being harassed heavily up at the fuel, he could leave the MG in a very defensive location in the middle, possibly down near his own cutoff, where it can't really be easily flanked. Instead, he's kind of splitting up his forces, fighting in 2 places at once, which is okay. He forced a retreat of a rifle, but if it was me, I'd be focusing on getting that fuel back as soon as possible.
Oh, wow. And we've got more denial, taking a +16 from the Wehrmacht. That's always good for the American player to try and achieve, isn't it?
Yeah, if he can take in the +16 is not great for the Wehr. He never really made an attempt to actually go and cap it, so he is missing out a bit.
Oh, wow. And yeah, so we're going to see, obviously he's not going to have that early impetus to get mines down, which is the great, flank blocker for the Wehrmacht.
Yeah, pretty low munitions income is never great, honestly. He did manage to force off this Jeep, though, and he is probably going to be able to take back his fuel fairly shortly. But this is the problem, he split up his forces, and now he's taking on 2 rifles down in the south here, where he might not be able to hold them off.
Yeah, we've got an engineer taking advantage going through the centre of his divide, possibly going to take his cut off away from him. And so yeah, splitting up his forces, bad idea, but he needed to get his fuel back, so what could he have, is it just micromanagement he's failing
Well,
with here?
on a map like Semwa, I mean, he was focusing with the MG very heavily in the center, and I see a lot of players do this, but it always baffles me a little bit to see people fighting so heavily over the center because there's really nothing of actual value in the center. There's a combined +10 munitions and a single VP, but aside from that, this middle graveyard green cover area is you're not doing yourself any favors if you're losing manpower fighting over that.
Okay, let's talk in terms of the meta game, the larger picture. If he's finding himself getting denied a lot of his resources early on, and he's failing to, contain the Americans, what should he be thinking for the bigger picture, the longer story?
Well, if he's had a bit of a tough early game, he's being cut off from his fuel, he can expect an M8 as the next tech quite often. It's very common tech, just generally speaking, so I would almost definitely go tier 2, especially after being denied so much fuel. There'd be no sense in doing anything else, and that's what he is doing. So that's smart, tier 2 works well. I'd probably go for a couple of Grens and then get some fast veterancy on them to maintain parity with the rifles.
Yeah, Grens, would you perhaps spend your early munitions on Shreks, or would you still focus on trying to get mines down?
No, I would focus all the munitions on mines until I actually see an M8 or until I scout an M8, because it's a bit of a waste of munitions to get a Shrek if there's no M8 actually coming.
Oh, Volksgren is possibly going down behind the green cover there.
Oh, that was unfortunate. That was very, very unlucky, actually, to have lost that to a headshot.
But should he even committed a 2-man squad to facing 2 rifles? They did have MG backup, but, 4 rifles all in all.
Overall, though, their player essentially managed to take quite a decent chunk of the map, and actually neither side has their own +16 munitions, which is a little bit strange.
Yeah, it is strange, definitely. Especially on a map like Semwa with such good mine routes, and the Americans can use artillery and what have you.
We got a pack coming up first from the Krieg barracks. I would definitely go for a Gren instead. He's got a Gren queued up behind it, but the problem is he's lost a Volk, which means he's down 1 major infantry squad. He needs that Gren to match the rifles, and now he's going to be behind, not just by the fact that he doesn't have a Gren, but he's got a pack, which is not going to get any usage because, as far as I can see, there's no sign of real tech from Nixa on the US side. He's to come for a triage. Oh,
excellent. So let me try and reword the last few points you've made. Just tell me if I'm right or not. Instead of reacting to the threat of armour, he should react to the armour itself and try and give himself, stall if he sees it. But he needs men on the ground at the moment, rather than trying to react to threats that haven't quite come to fruition yet.
Yeah, if he had gone for if he had had a bit of a better time with the tier 1, he was easily being able to hold off the rifles with just his 4-unit tier 1, then maybe he could go for a pack then if he strongly suspects an M8, because he's okay fighting rifles on their own anyway. But in this instance, yeah, I don't know. He's also put down a bunker, which I guess he's going to try and turn into a med bunker.
Vehicle knocked out.
Well, he kills the Jeep. Pretty spectacular.
Yeah, I suppose.
Pack and mine. A little bit overkill, but it does go down.
It's never coming back either. Definitely. But yeah, he's got no veterancy for his infantry yet. You'd expect vet 1 at least by this point of the game, I'd assume.
Don't necessarily need it. He hasn't chosen a doctrine yet. He's getting a med bunker, which leads me to think he might be possibly wanting to go defensive later on in the game, in which case he doesn't need the veterancy. Typically, veterancy plus defensive doctrine equals sniper spam to death.
Yeah.
You can definitely afford to forego vet in favor of for the fatherland. But yeah, I'm struggling to see where the Wehr player Schmetterling is trying to put his main focus here. He's put down some really strange wire in some places, like this random strip of wire just to the left of the graveyard.
I see that. I don't know what that is. Maybe so they can go-karting with each other around it?
A bit of modern art, I was thinking.
Oh, possibly, yeah, like a feature. Maybe. Traction. There we go.
This is nice though with the Grens. As soon as you get your first Grenadier out, you should ideally start pushing away from your main force. If your main force is in the middle, push the Gren up to cap those important areas in the north. Because as I was saying, the middle area doesn't really have all that much of significance. All the big resources, all the actual important resources, are actually sort of on the islands, as it were.
Okay.
On each side of the map, you know, it's a +10 fuel and the +10 munitions. They're the big ones that you want to be after, and cutting off or stealing the +16 munitions, which is still not capped yet for the US player.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Obviously, he's been trying to be as aggressive as possible, but he should still at least send an engineer to do that capping. Obviously, sniper, as you predicted. We have got the first tech as well. He's gone for stickies because obviously with WSC he's going to have a delayed motor pool now. Let's talk about the American player. Is that a good choice? Is he thinking ahead there? Or?
Getting stickies. I suppose it's him playing better safe than sorry, because he's not seen any veterancy and he's seen quite a light tier 2 so far. But yeah, I don't know, a little bit leaning too much to the safe side. But stickies are quite a cheap upgrade, so it's not a terrible choice. The sniper is good against tier 2 in general. But again, perhaps not totally worth it, as he is only facing a single MG and unvetted Grens, which he could fight quite easily with bars as well. So
I think bars would be a good thing to have popped, because he obviously doesn't. Well, he does know about the pack, so he knows that he's made the Wehrmacht think he's going early motor pool. So to pop bars now would be pretty horrific for the Wehrmacht player.
yeah, that said, we've actually got tier 3 just finished teching. So hopefully we're going to see some Puma action, which could be pretty nice for the Wehr player actually if he rolls that out. And already he's got a very nice VP lead so far. So in that regard, doing very well. You know, he's drained Nixer down to 350. It's always pretty demoralizing for a US player to see himself get drained so much so early.
I'm aghast as to why he's not kept the +16 munitions. I mean,
yeah, it does. It's a little bit bizarre. He's sort of playing one hand behind his back, not grabbing it, and also neglecting to get that VP as well, if only just to slow down the VP drain, if not to stop it.
I mean, there's no reason to have not done that. He's obviously a solid player in terms of the grand scheme of things. Obviously not at the top level, but it's a bit strange. Let's talk about a point you were making a bit ago about focus on resources instead of just trying to make up ground in the centre. They call it the Wehrmacht Cube, don't they?
Yeah, that's a name that's been sort of given on Semwa to controlling the 2 +5s in the middle, the +16 on the bottom, and the fuel and munitions immediately either side of the Wehrmacht base, because it's quite easy to take and hold that amount of territory. And if you can take and hold that amount of territory, it gives you an excellent platform to begin teching. And we have seen the Wehrmacht player is now establishing himself with that cube right now. And it's a really good position to be in as a Wehrmacht player. You can have a little bit less than that, and it's fine. You can lose the middle +5 munitions, and it's no particular issue. But just holding on to those key resources either side of your base and the plus 16. You don't. It's one of the great things about Semwa is that for a Wehr player, you don't need to expand that far to get all the important resources.
Oh wow! So you think perhaps, do you know when he was contesting the plus 10 munitions in the north? Maybe he didn't have to extend that far. He should have just focused on the resources closer to his base.
Well, once you begin tech to tier 2, you do need to start being more aggressive and start contesting those northernly munitions and the plus 5 fuels up there and stuff like that. It's good to start contesting those because it draws rifles away from the middle, which allows you in turn to move up into the middle.
Ah, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Not to patronise you. I'm sorry. We were talking about that before the cast. Sorry, guys. But yeah, they've got a mortar for the American player. That's not a bad choice on Semwa, I suppose.
Mortar's very potent on Semwa, yeah. Honestly, I would probably have begun tech for something else at this point rather than the mortar. WSC units tend to be more of, at least anything that isn't a sniper, tend to be, at least for me, I see them more as a luxury than a necessity.
Yeah, definitely. It's something you get in an off-map combat group, but you wouldn't necessarily try and
yeah, exactly.
We've got the sniper on 3 kills rather, utterly uncontested so far. It has made its presence known though.
There is a Schwimmwagen and now actually a Puma as well. He could pair those up, a Puma and Schwimm or Puma and Bike. They make an excellent sniper hunting combo.
Yeah, because the Puma has a little bit of detection radius itself, and obviously the Schwimm has a lot.
He does have a little bit of detection, but you have to be wary if you're facing Vet 2 or Vet 3 US snipers. You can't detect them with Pumas. You can push them around all you like, and you can't detect them.
So it's more of a feature than a bug then.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a feature. It's a feature of their veterancy that you half-tracks and Pumas can't detect Vet 2 snipers.
Just saw an enemy unit down. Any idea of what that was?
Schwimm went down to a mine there in the middle.
Ah, right. Yeah, I see. So perhaps
he sent it in after the mortar, I think, but
well, maybe trying to push out
some strange choice of wire actually here. This Wehr wire. He put it in a position that rather hurts him more than it helps him. Where if I was going to wire off a lot on Semwa, the place I would normally put the wire is just a little bit further upwards and to the left. So instead of blocking access to the plus 5 munitions, you're blocking that whole flanking route from behind that house, behind where that truck is parked. That tends to be a better place for it.
Wow.
Otherwise, he's actually going to crush that wire now.
Yeah.
Or not.
And he's just noticed what he was doing himself. He's actually lost a lot of health with one sticky on that Puma. It could have been a lot worse though if he'd gotten a crit on his engine. Could have been.
Yeah, he got fortunate there, no crits.
Sniper's still uncontested. He's getting a little bit confident with it now.
Yeah, lots of decloak sniping. To be honest, for the Wehr player, he can either choose to focus heavily on the Pumas now and just use those and shift away from the Grenadiers, or he can choose to get himself a counter sniper and then focus on vetted Grens at this point. Yeah, personally, as he's already got tier 3 and... Well, actually there's a tank depot, so I would probably switch down the vetted Grens route at this point. Make sure to get himself a counter sniper before anything else.
Oh wow. Good note on the mortar, by the way. Obviously, I think from the Americans' point of view, it was to combat the Puma God. Just wrecked a engineer squad by the looks of things. The medic bunker has been peppered by the mortar. It actually reached half health. He's repairing it just now.
Yeah, and judging by the speed he's repairing it, it doesn't... he's actually gone blitz. Not defensive.
Okay. So with that...
which is an interesting choice. No blitz units used yet, but he did just unlock the stew not too long ago, which could be nice, although whatever's coming out of Tank Depot, a Hellcat, yeah, Tank Depot hard counters a stew.
Doesn't always hard counter a Puma though. They can be pretty elusive for Hellcats sometimes.
Losing ground out there.
Well, especially
especially when they're sticky.
Yes. Oh god. It's a second stick he's run into with that thing.
Yeah, he wasn't so lucky this time. He did get critted.
Hellcat's no doubt racing down that bridge. I can see it on the minimap. Yeah, here it comes.
He's going to come and polish off. The pack is just a little bit far back. You could afford moving that up just a little bit.
Yeah, he's not very quick to react to the danger. He's trying to get his Puma to be near it.
He might be okay, actually.
Oh no, the wall was blocking.
It's going to be a close thing if the Hellcat gets one long range.
Nice Faust.
Wow, that Puma got very, very fortunate to escape with his life.
Excellent Nebelwerfer usage. He stopped a double flamer flank from the north. That was very good. Gave himself time for the MG to flip as well.
Yeah, those flamers need to retreat there.
And the Volksgrenadiers are going in for the kill. They just missed a mine, trying to get a lucky Faust. Nah, they're never going to get that.
Oh, that was a nasty mine.
Yeah, well, they missed it the first pass, not the second. Infantry doctrine has been chosen. He's got 210 in the bank for munitions. Unfortunately, he is floating a little bit of manpower. 600, that's never nice to see.
Yeah, got a bit of manpower floating from Schmetterling as well, but I think he might have an excuse because he just got the 500 manpower and he just popped a stew.
Nice. Not a bad choice. He's already got an proper AT counter, so this would be a good anti-infantry presence for him.
Not a bad choice, yes. Stew tier 2, just Blitz tier 2 is really popular. It's kind of fallen out of favor just a little bit. It was really popular about 4 or 5 months ago. The metagame switched a bit more. You see a lot more people go Terra.
Yeah, Terra's very trendy recently. Well, your casts help that, I think.
Is very, very potent as well. You just get lots of Grens with Vet, you get packs, and you get the Stew. And you can get Shreks and all the AT you need because ultimately the Stew provides you with basically all the anti-infantry you could ever need.
That sniper's still uncontested. He's Vet 2 now, 9 kills. Gren veterancy obviously piling up there.
Yeah, I think he's about to get himself, with this med bunker, he's going to be getting himself more free Grens pretty shortly. If these medics escape unharmed and unsniped, he's going to get himself another free Gren. It's going to bring him up to 3, so he needs that counter snipe. Otherwise, he's going to bleed a lot of manpower, even when they're only Vet 1 and not Vet 2. The best choice for him right now is to get himself a counter snipe that sniper, and then... Wow, that Puma just totally owned the rifle.
Yeah,
and then get himself Vet 2 Grens.
So.
That would be the best thing for him right now.
Vet 2 Grens, yeah. So counter snipe, Vet 2 Grens, so infantry dominance basically. You have to win the sniper metagame.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit, I don't know, biased or whatever, because I play with snipers in all my tier 1s whenever I play Wehr. So a sniper is just, so I base my strategies around winning the sniper war, whether I'm playing US or Wehr.
Find that distasteful though still? Is it like an evil, a necessary evil?
I don't know, I just find that the sniper just has a whole lot of utility, and that's, basically my strategies come down to either as Wehr winning the sniper war and out-microing my opponent, or as US. It changes a little bit, because if he doesn't get a sniper, then I probably won't get a sniper either. But as most Wehr players do get a sniper, again, that's what I'm relying on is being able to out-micro them with the sniper. But in this case, it's been it's just been the single US sniper. So,
yeah. But
with lots of Grens, they bleed a lot of manpower. They're 32 manpower a pop to reinforce, so you can't afford to lose too many of them before it starts getting really pricey.
Oh wow. We just saw a hell of an engagement. I did capture it all whilst we were discussing the finer points of the strategy of the game. But yeah, that was quite something. The Puma went down, I believe. Pack was close to going down. They're now harvesting the munitions.
Puma and Stu went down.
Stu as well, Jesus. It's not good for the Wehrmacht player. But the Hellcat is still alive as well. It's got 9 barbed wire kills and 1 vehicle kill.
Oh wow, the Pack missed out a cloak. That's really unlucky.
Yeah, pretty much is. What's veterancy 1 net for the Pack? Why would he have gone there?
Vet 1 for the Pack, I imagine that was probably, I don't know.
No, for the Puma, he was trying to get more health for his Puma, of course, wasn't he?
Ah, yes, that would be why.
Yeah. I was just thinking...
he does actually nail the Hellcat with a Shrek on one of those Grens. That's nice. And actually, he just bought himself an Axis sniper. So, with that ally sniper just full of hubris and running around uncloaked.
Youthful spirit, yeah, skipping around the map.
Yeah, exactly. The counter snipe shouldn't be too difficult to pull off. And once he gets that, go Vet 2 instantly, I would, and really cement the infantry advantage. He's got 3 Grens now. Giving them Vet 2 would absolutely allow them to decimate these unvetted, unbarred rifles.
He's got a good amount of map control as well, although the Americans trying to get him back in the south now. But yeah, it's not been bad. I like the ebb and flow of this game. The Wehrmacht's slowly, creeping back into things.
Yeah, he's getting a handle on things. He might lose this Pioneer down in the south. He does.
Yep,
First striker vet for a rifle squad, but ultimately he's done a good job of veterancy denial. so far, you know, 23 minutes into the game, only a single vet 1 squad. And these MB40s are nice. They're a nice soft counter to a sniper, especially before bars. Hopefully we'll see a counter snipe here. Ah, he missed the counter snipe. That's unfortunate.
Unlucky.
That is unlucky. And it's 2 snipers now.
Yeah,
Two
I was about to say, he was in danger of getting counter-sniped himself because there was a sniper waiting for him on the bridge. He's using his Vet 2 sniper as bait a little bit, I think.
Oh no, this could actually be pretty nice. Oh wow! That was really quite unfortunate actually, the Axis sniper going down.
Oh, describe what you're seeing, Tommy. I didn't catch that. What happened? Explain to us, please.
As the sniper was retreating down the road, it got headshotted by the waiting rifle squad.
Ah, the one, yeah, by the field.
Down.
Oh, wow.
And it's another stew on the field now.
Yeah, the replacement stew. So we're in the middle of the game now. Things look fairly even. It's more of a Wehrmacht L shape rather than a cube. You know, the territory's divided down the centre. What should the American player... Let's talk about the American player for a second. What should they be thinking?
Well, I see they've just got themselves a howitzer. I'm pretty sure he hasn't lost any rifles yet, so if he bought 4 rifles, which I think he did, then he still has all of those 4 around and living. He's got the Hellcat, which is going to be able to counter the stew pretty well. He's got the howitzer to counter the support weapons in the pack and such like that. So at this point, I would definitely, with the double snipers to take care of the grenadiers, it's probably not totally necessary for Bars anymore. He could probably just rely on those snipers, but Bars, if he can afford them, then he should probably get them sooner rather than later.
The strong house is acting as an excellent shot block of this artillery here, but now it's gone down, so the bunker's fully exposed, and it takes a massive hit. Half health gone straight away. And it's down!
Oh,
so
wow.
The shot block... Oh,
it's more artillery. It's more artillery. This is an off-map coming down the MG in the pack.
No, that bunker's not going to resurrect itself now. It's fully down. He's made sure of that.
Multiple artillery to put it down.
What I was hinting at, what I was thinking is, at this point, the American player, there was no need for him to go super aggressive and throw the game, you know, throw everything he had, because obviously you had the advantage. And sometimes it's good for American players at this level to think that to themselves, like, listen, it's more I've just built a howitzer, I can sit back for a few seconds, let my snipers do the work, and there's no need for me to organise any massive flanks and lose any squads.
Yeah, I mean, when you are making flanks and when you are making attacks, you got to make sure that there is a reason for doing it. There's no point continuously flanking someone who is 1 sector out of his base, because he can just fall back to his base MGs and you can't flank those. In this instance, the US player should definitely... he doesn't want to keep throwing things into the meat grinder in the middle. You know, there's an MG, there's a stew, there's a pack in there. Let the howitzer and the snipers whittle away at them without taking any losses. Meanwhile, focus on harassing the fuel in the north. Yeah,
battle fatigue taking its toll there. He did not notice the smoke, and we've got dead Grens near the victory point. Not good to see. It absolutely makes VP Drain, you know, puts it in the spotlight this game, because if the American player had focused on VPs at the start of the game, there'd be no need to be super aggressive, and you can sit back. But as it is, with the Wehrmacht having double the VP lead, you know, he's not made it easy for himself.
Yeah, it's I'd say his map control is good. His unit preservation has been pretty decent so far, but I think he yeah, I don't know. He did not do himself any favours by not capping the northerly VP for so long. He
didn't, no. Was it Aim Strong? I think it may have been Expert Insight or something on one of your casts. He was mentioning the fact that he caps VPs first. Like, if there's a plus 16 fuel, he goes for the VP first with his Pyro or Engineer or what have you, just because he likes the psychological advantage of it.
And it's very much the same. It's a lesson that he taught me as well, and I do it all the time now as well. I go for VPs before I go for fuel and munitions and such. And even though it doesn't make logical sense, the logical thing to do would be to totally ignore VPs. If you were being brutally logical, it would make no sense to go for VPs at the beginning. You would just do nothing but go after resources, and then in the last couple of minutes, you know, you could just go for VPs. But it's such a psychological advantage to have 500 VPs when your opponent is bleeding. It makes him feel pressured, it makes him feel like he needs to attack, and people, once they feel pressured, they're going to start making mistakes.
How could Schmetterling have taken advantage of this effect? What could he have done differently? Other than losing his sniper, which we can't, you can't really say, oh, you shouldn't have lost your sniper because it was just unfortunate.
Well, there's that three
That's
sniper already. That's going to be tough to counter. He actually got himself some blitz storms, but they've gone so close to this church, they've decloaked themselves, and you really don't want to do that. He needs to retreat those guys right away, otherwise he's going to bleed a heck of a lot of manpower on them.
And they take so long to reinforce as well. So they're not going to make an appearance for the next 2 minutes now. They're out of the game in the sin bin.
Yeah, it's part of the reason why I don't like stormtroopers. I have used them in the past, and they certainly have their place, but I don't think Blitz did him anything that he couldn't have done better with terror or defensive, honestly, this game.
Yeah, as I said, I think Zeal has been popularised a little bit recently, obviously in tournament play, but a cast you and Fatal did where you were just talking about how it's a passive ability, left side, once command point needed. For what it gives you, it's so cheap, isn't it?
It's fantastic. I mean, it comes, normally you get that 1 CP somewhere in the middle of the first major American attack. If the American makes a big attack and he's doing a lot of damage, you will get that first CP during the attack, and it makes such a difference. It's a difference between holding off that flank and basically you can win the game right there, essentially. It might not be GG right there, but you might give yourself such an advantage that you're going to eventually win.
Wow. So would you recommend more and more people use it?
It definitely has its place. I think my second favorite doctrine is always been defensive, because defensive is equally powerful, and that's why I really recommend people watch Mag's replay pack. And once they've mastered that, I would then recommend moving on to Malam's style of play, which I think caters to a slightly higher level. I think that's really good if you want to try and go from sort of a just having broken through level 16 kind of standard to a top level 16. Malam's replay pack is really good for that. Mag's replay pack will probably, if you're at about level 12, that will take you up to about level 16, because they're similar in a lot of ways. They both use defensive heavily. Defensive is a really forgiving doctrine. You can make mistakes and still come back and win because of the power of the fatherland, because of the power of the med bunker. The med bunker is going to help you out just so much if you put the right build order to couple it with.
We're losing a strategic sector.
I can hear more artillery. I wanted to speak, but I'm afraid I'm going to catch something significant. Now, I think we're okay. What I was about to ask you is, if you're in a competitive game and you find yourself in the middle of this game or towards the end with no snipers, and your opponent has 2 dominant snipers in a pair, as we see in patch 2.602, how do you go about even beginning to counter
that? Well, it really just comes down to superior sniper micro. You need to get yourself a sniper of your own. In this case, we've seen Blitz Stormtroopers as an attempted counter. I don't think they're a particularly great counter in the sort of the mid-late game, because bars and bar suppression are really going to hurt you. You just need to basically get a counter snipe.
So you can't ignore it. You just have to bite the bullet, even if you don't like that style of play. You just have to compete against it.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's so common. I played Pepsi fairly recently. Loves to use lots and lots of snipers. I built my one original sniper, and I just had to play very conservatively with it, because he built over the course of the game 6 snipers.
Was it just a teams of 2, and if you lost them, he'd replace them, or?
Yeah, exactly. So eventually, I mean, the best way to counter it is the best way is a sniper of your own and get a counter snipe. But against a good player, you certainly can't rely on counter sniping. You have to assume that the best case scenario is that you will just be able to snipe when he's not sniping, so to keep the manpower damage flowing. But in that instance, you're going to need Nebels or indirect fire to sort of unseat him.
Yeah, Nebels on Semoir are excellent as well, because you can plonk them behind the house, the strong house behind the cutoff, and they're pretty sturdy there. They can just keep raining fire all game.
Yeah, they're awesome when you put them behind the house, because they obviously they fire upwards, so they're safe from howitzers, but they can still do the damage.
Here they come, just as we're talking about the Speak of the Devil. Look at them out. They just put the snipers under so much pressure. They have to be microed. You could probably attack. Wait for my dog to finish barking. Yeah, you puts your opponents under a lot of pressure, basically.
Front shift.
Yeah, it's going to force your
Crowds been
opponent.
having territory.
Best case scenario, it's going to force them to move them back. Nobody's going to move forward through a Neville barrage and into your troops. They're going to be forced to move them back, which then allows you to move forward. Best case scenario, he decloaks them. You have a sniper ready, and pop, pop, you take him out.
How far along is he in the Blitzkrieg tech tree? Do you reckon he's got enough for a tiger?
He's got a tiger. Yep, he has
Oh,
a
he
tiger
has got
unlocked.
a
He's
tiger.
had it unlocked for a little while, but he's really struggling for manpower,
Ah,
mainly
yeah.
as a result of these snipers taking out his storms and Vet 2 Grens.
Yeah, that's a lot of manpower used to reinforce those babies.
And whoa, he's doing something fun here. He's got Blitz Storms sneaking into the US base, all the way round. I just saw this little blue icon in the US base. But I don't know what he's after, to be honest, because he can decrew the Howie, but he can't kill it.
Oh! How long is the recharge on one of those things? Because that was... Nah,
Well,
obviously...
bundle nades, he can't kill the thing with bundle nades. That would take forever.
Okay. I suppose 50
It's a
munitions
valiant
pop
effort
too.
to try and shoot it to death, but I don't think it's going to work.
That's the problem with Blitz. They don't have anything they can use like that, do they? Like, you know, a firestorm, what have you.
Well, what
enemy
a lot of people do is
is
either a
300
base rush with a Stu or a Stug. That works pretty well. You can normally, if you send a Stug just right into the base, you can normally... Ah, he lost a Stormtrooper unit. That always makes me cringe.
I thought it'd be safe, but the snipers picked him up on retreat. Oh my.
You have to think very carefully about getting Vet 2 if you've also got Stormtroopers on the field, because against enemy snipers you're going to have a horrible, horrible time with Vet 2 Stormtroopers. Storms are strong enough on their own at Vet 0 because they have such a stupid amount of health. Like, they have more health per man than... Grenadiers. I think they have more health per man than even KCH. They just have so much health per man. Vet 3 Storms are pretty much one of the most survivable units in the game.
Do they have a lot of health per man?
Yeah.
Nice. Oh god. But yeah, basically, we're seeing a rather unsavoury...
Enemy unit
This
down.
game started good, I liked the mid-game, but now we're just starting to see sniper dominance. But the good thing about it is, a lot of us suffer through this and suffer from it. And you've got two schools of thought in the community. Those that use the double sniper spam of 2.602, and those that try to ignore it and suffer because of it, and, you know, lament how overpowered it is. So,
Well, ignoring it is not an option in competitive play. It's very common, especially if you're going to do a strategy that revolves around vetted troops as Wehr. You have to accept that this is a counter. This has always been a textbook counter ever since Elite Armor gave 100% hit rate versus snipers. It's always been the textbook counter. So that's why having good sniper micro is so important.
what about with KO2 on the horizon? Do you think snipers are still going to play such a dominant role?
To be honest, any unit that is able to do damage without taking it is always going to be very powerful, and it's always going to be heavily used. I know that there are some people who are saying, oh, you know, there won't be any more sniper spam in KO2 because they're two-man squads and because their cloak has been changed a little bit or whatever.
Enemy unit down.
And that was a huge Howie shell.
Yes! Oh my god. The howitzers on Seymour, this American is playing it, you know, he's just playing a textbook American game here. This is just patch 2.602, you know, in a nutshell for the American on Seymour. Infantry, Howies, he's had the manpower and the pop cap for this off-map combat group for a very long time, and he's not issued the order yet for some reason. I've been waiting for it, but yeah, he's
Keeping
playing
you in
this.
suspense.
He is indeed, yeah. So, would you have thought that Terror would have been the better option for our good friend Schmetterling in this game?
If he likes using if he likes using med bunkers, then I would probably go defensive. As I said, very forgiving, very powerful against sort of almost anyone. A lot of US players are going to struggle against defensive because they won't have the patience to hold off on a flank. The mindset is very much ingrained in a lot of players to keep on attacking as much as possible until you break your opponent. And if you go defensive, that's only gonna hurt him. that's just going to cause him a lot of manpower bleeding on
Definitely.
your defensive
You
med bunker.
sympathise with this guy and his current frustrations. He must be feeling them against the double snipers. And of course, I know we keep banging on about it, but it is basically the course of this game at this point. Do you sympathise?
Yeah, I mean,
with
I've certainly been in similar situations myself when you're sort of almost not quite, but almost pinned in your base on Semois. And you're facing sort of heavy sniper usage, heavy ATGs and Howies and stuff, and you just it feels very claustrophobic because you're so cramped up around that cutoff.
Oh, he can't buy look this guy. He's just unleashed himself on the snipers. Oh no, he obviously...
bundle. Oh,
yes.
Very nice indeed. Very nice. He might lose that Stormtrooper though. I don't know if it's going to be worth it.
Possibly not worth it. Probably an
Not
equal
worth it.
trade, but he needed to uncover that Vet 3 sniper and get rid of him. Obviously he didn't know he was there, but oh dear.
He's now actually just waiting for the Tiger, which is he's on 750 manpower, so we will be seeing a Tiger pretty shortly.
Is that the breakthrough unit he needs? Is it gonna give him enough impetus?
I think his opponent's being smart here. I think he can smell the Tiger coming. He's got an ATG out on the field, and he's got a second one following it up.
Oh, God.
2 ATGs will shut down a Tiger with proper infantry and sniper support. So it's not going to be a breakthrough unit, but it might aid him in a potential comeback. He's certainly not out of the game yet, but he does need a counter sniper.
Well, so that no. Instead of using an off-map combat group, he didn't gamble. He just built a motor pool and got 2 AT guns. I think that is incredibly wise, and it reminds me of a game you played as well, Tommy.
What game's that?
I think it was the Reddit final, wasn't it, where you didn't have enough AT to take down the King Tiger?
That sounds about right. Yeah, it's to be honest, in a position like this, if I were the American player, he has such a dominant position right now that he could afford to go OMCG. If he gets the worst possible OMCG ever and just gets like, I don't know what that would be.
A rifle, an MG, and a mortar.
Well, you have to get a single piece of AT in an OMCG, whether that's a Hellcat or an ATG. You have to get one of those two things.
Oh, really?
So and to be honest, he could get either one of those and be perfectly happy with those. So I don't know. I would have gambled on the OMCG personally, given his situation.
It's just such a bargain for the manpower you get. It's
It is a bargain. It's extremely good value.
Wish you get like 900 manpower at best. You're looking at just under 1200 manpower for 900 spent. It's very potent.
Yeah, it's not always stuff that you want, but it's always useful. You can always... I don't think there exists a useless OMCG. You can always make use of it. If you say that it's useless, then it will be useless.
Exactly.
But you can always make use of an OMCG, whether it's just, sending, like, low health, unvetted rifles out to go and cap. You can just go on a mad capping frenzy.
Exactly.
If you can't keep up. If it's got a mortar, you can throw down mortar smoke and use that to cover your approach onto a VP. If you get an M8, I love M8s in OMCGs. They are one of my favorite units.
Do you
because
suicide
often
them
late
with
game,
mines, maybe?
You're facing, like, you're facing vanilla Vet 3 Grens or something like that, going around harassing VPs. He is forced to get a Shrek or send a pack or, reposition his whole forces to deal with this one pesky M8 that you just gotten out of an OMCG. So it's, there's no such thing as a bad OMCG, I don't think. Just good or better ones.
I like that training. I like that school of thought. That's good stuff. Oh, the Tiger's down. Vet 2 AT gun. It's practically curtains. And I think at this point we're safe to say, unless, this is going to be a Hall of Fame replay or something, we can start wrapping it up and start discussing what he could have done better overall. Like, the concluding thoughts for this guy.
Well, for a build order, he started off a little bit strangely. He did, I think he did Volk, MG, Volk. 3 Volks with only a single MG doesn't tend to work. If he doesn't want to use a sniper, then if he was happy using a sniper, I'd say go Volk MG sniper. Otherwise, if you just want to go heavy on the Volks, then Volk MG, Volk. You end up with 3 Volks and 2 MGs. That's a much stronger tier 1. The addition of that second MG does make a whole lot of difference. Even if it only sounds like a single unit, it is only 250 manpower. It makes a heck of a lot of difference. It is totally worth it. And then he could have had a much better opening. He would have been able to get that fuel back a lot easier, and then could have proceeded to just get a bit more efficient tech. I thought the Puma was really nice. It was unfortunate that it did go on to die. I thought earlier Vet 2 with an earlier counter sniper when the American snipers arrived would have done him a lot better.
Oh wow. So that's a lot of good advice that this guy can take away. The biggest thing I can point out from a more noobish perspective, where perhaps, I don't know, I just see the most obvious things that everybody else sees, is just snipers. You can't ignore them. Even if you don't like them, you have to tackle them.
If you went, for example, Terra, you can, to a certain extent, you can just prop war them off the map. If you don't have the capacity to get a counter sniper, or you can't afford it, or he's just so good with the snipers that you can't physically counter snipe them, then you can just, you can simply prop war them off the map, and that's a couple of seconds, or well, not a couple of seconds. That's a good minute or two where you don't have to face them, and then you can make some headway if he's heavily relying on snipers.
Definitely.
But and really, you do have to tackle them.
OMCG just finally activated, by the way. Let's see what he gets. Pretty damn good. No blitz armor is going to come on the field now.
Yeah, it's a nice one.
What I was about to say, I was about to say that if you win the sniper war, you also win the AT gun versus pack war, because if your snipers are uncontested, your AT guns are largely, unless he enables or firestorms them, they can parade around the battlefield, the centre, take out a tiger like they have done in this game. Like, that AT gun would never have been able to get in such an advanced position if the Wehrmacht had a sniper on the field, if you know what I'm saying. Just has so many effects on the game. Gonna see 2 M8s versus
M8s of doom.
one should block the other in the
enemy is down to 100 points.
It's a nice attempted block, but he kind of moved out of his own way.
I think Schmetterling was lamenting the fact that he only saw 1 artillery barrage, and
there's no need for that, but I mean, yeah, artillery's powerful here. You just got to be really on your toes. Sometimes your units will give you a heads up and say, "There's artillery coming in," but a lot of the time you just got to have really sort of be looking all over the place. What you see a lot of sort of lower level players do when I'm watching them on streams, for example, is they look at one engagement for a long time, just looking at the graphics or whatever, and that's fine, and I can totally empathize with that. But you have to be totally merciless to your own units. As soon as you hit the retreat button, go and look somewhere else, because no amount of staring and hoping and praying is going to make that unit stay alive.
That is an excellent tip. If you're in a competitive game and it's not just for fun, you don't need to watch green numbers float around. You need to be active elsewhere. Queuing up commands for a PIO. It doesn't matter if it's boring. And watching the best players on stream, I think Seth, because he's been playing since 2006, he's not excited by seeing +9 because a sniper went over a mine anymore. He just goes somewhere else and looks at it. Once he's clicked an arty barrage, he doesn't hang around to see if it has an effect. He goes and does something else. He'll be putting barbed wire down, doing something that's time intensive but free. So yeah, that's an excellent tip. If you're ever in a competitive game, try and not watch numbers.
Yeah, definitely. And just, I mean, obviously it does help. When I put down an artillery barrage, I do often look to see, because it's quite tactically useful. If I see, I've just killed his sniper, now my sniper is free to fire as many times as he like. But yeah, by and large, you got to be totally merciless with yourself.
So I see what you're saying. There's a balance to be made between the extreme opinion I just made of totally not watching it, and the more conservative, watch it when it's necessary, but try and
obviously it is useful at some points, but
sure. Well, anyway, that's a good cast. I enjoyed that. Thank you for
it was an interesting game. I hope
part.
Schmetterling gets something out of it, and I thought it was quite nicely played by Nixer as well.
Excellent. Going back to my remarks to Fatal Saint, I do love him really. I do know him and do speak to him. I don't really think he's Norwegian. But if you want to check out, everybody in the Company Heroes community has checked out these guys' casts. But it can't be emphasised just how good they are within the context of the entire game since it started till now. Obviously, you've got Tales of Heroes, which is pretty damn good, and there's a few other casters, propaganda casts, what have you, all around, dotted around the place. But these guys seem to focus on quality over quantity. Am I right in saying that? Would you say that?
Well, it's nice of you to say. But yeah, we put out 2 casts a week. That's generally the only amount we can muster. It's one of the downsides of dual casting. One of the very few downsides of exclusively dual casting, myself and Fatal, is that we can only cast when we both have free time slots. overlapping.
So the different thing that you have to offer amongst all the casts out there is that you try and guarantee quality per episode, which is good. So if you're a new player listening to this by some random chance, obviously you won't get that many viewers compared to Tommy, but by all means just watch every Frontline Fatalities you can, because especially Expert Insights as well, because
the Expert Insights are a lot of fun. We've done them with Seb, with Aim Strong, with Symbiosis, some really fascinating insights that were so useful to me as well in my own game. So
yeah, it's like War Room but good.
Well, I very much enjoyed. And thanks for having me on here. It was good fun. Got to experience a range of games.
Yeah, exactly. A range of games indeed. Thank you, and good.